I'm from San Antonio, grew up on the east side of San Antonio. My father was a minister who stood about 5'3", about 120 pounds. And he had all these boys that played sports.
You were part of the team that played one of the first integrated football games in San Antonio, is that correct?
That's right. It was we played all black schools my first 2 years. We were in the district called PVIL, Prairie View Interscholastic League, and I was run by Texas A&M. Okay, and so my last year, they decided to integrate it, and they put us in the 3A district. That's Kerrville, Fredericksburg, and all those schools. And we played the non-district games. They were black. The district game started with Kerrville Tivy here in Alamo Stadium. That was like 14,000 people at that game, And it was interesting. It was just playing. It was no different than playing anybody else except the players on the other team, mainly white. I was in 1966. It did not feel like history. We didn't know. We're just a football game to us because, again, we 16 to 17-year-old kids. So it was just a football game. It was no more pressure saying that you got to win this game because it's blacks against whites. It was none of that. He said, this is a game like any other game, and you guys go out and play. And we won 8-7. You never quit. You never stop. My mother that was her philosophy. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it. Growing up with segregation here in San Antonio, the first time, the Majestic Theater, famous theater downtown, that you pass many times, you even gone to the part of Majestic. We couldn't go to the Majestic Theater. Not in the front. We could only go in the balcony, And that's what, it was, you grew up like this, you don't think it's wrong, because you just accepted that, okay, we got to go here. We thought it was the best seats in the house. And so we would go to the back there. You couldn't go to Cress's and eat downstairs. They want you to eat upstairs on the counter, but you couldn't go downstairs. I remember that. And I remember my father telling me that if you tried on a hat in certain stores, you had to buy it whether it fit or not. Those things I remember him telling me about, what they went through. My mother was a domestic worker, and we would go and pick her up. That's one of the reasons we all learned to drive, so that we could take her to work and pick her up. And I remember she made, $5 a day back then, cooking and cleaning. And she was never home Thanksgiving. She was never home because she was cooking dinner at someone's home. And she would put the turkey in the oven, and she would call me. Say, okay, do this, do that, do this. Turn the oven on, or turn the oven off, and all that. And that's how we made it. Race and integration in San Antonio. My mother worked for a lawyer, a white lawyer. He used to be with the FBI. And he told her, he said, Carrie, that's my mother, if you integrate the schools, we're going to destroy your people. That's what he said. We will destroy your people. The education. The reason being, my teachers, they're all black. From elementary, I went to integrated junior high. That was a black junior high school, but that all my brothers and sisters went to. I chose to go to one that was closer to the house. And so that's the only time I had any other teachers than black was my junior high school years. Only time I had other people other than black students was my junior high school years. Okay. And when I was in high school, my history teacher was Miss Hawkins. And Miss Hawkins said every class is an English class. And she said, listen, you have to be prepared to take advantage of the opportunity like the white children. Because it's you against those white folks. And if you're not prepared, you're going to be left behind. And that's what's drilled into us, is that you're competing against other people, especially white folks. And if you're not 10 times better, you're not going to get that position. You sit in football, sit in athletics. All your wide receivers in your speed positions, so they were mainly black. Quarterback, middle linebacker, and center. They were positions held for whites. That's the brain positions, they call it. But now you have blacks. So you see blacks everywhere because they want to win. And there's too much money involved. You remember it used to be in Ebony magazine, remember that? You might not remember, but they used to have a picture of all the blacks in the NFL in every magazine. That the team is almost all black. They don't even put them in there anymore. It's too many. And I was in college. I'm sitting there, Taylor. I'm sitting in a classroom, and a girl was sitting maybe where you're standing, and it was a Spanish class. And she said, "Can't you tell I like you?" I said, "Oh, I know that." You know, you smile at me. We were talking and everything. She said, "But only one thing." I said, "What's that?" My mother said not to date no Jews and no N-word. And I know, and that's the only time I really heard. You know, you faced it. That what? Someone would say that? We were just human beings, but no. And I guess she learned that this man is just like anybody else. You know, and that's what sports taught you. Sports taught you that no matter what race you are, you're on this team. And you get chewed out just like that. Mexican gets chewed out, that black guy gets chewed out, white guy gets chewed out for not performing. My last year at the University of Missouri, there were 7 black kids on the team. On the whole football team. 7, 8. You see what I'm saying? That was like 300 students at the whole school. I think we had 30,000 students, you had 300 blacks. You know? And that's where it was back then. Juneteenth. My family didn't celebrate Juneteenth. Not when I was little. The thing was, they wanted to be an American. July 4th for me, July 4th. That was it, you know. It wasn't until I'm in junior high school, had a friend, her mother had a little club on the east side. And then that's when you start hearing more about Juneteenth, and they had parties and various things. And that's when I started going to things. You know, hey, we had something Juneteenth. So, man, they barbecued and had our red sodas and watermelon and all that good stuff.
What do you think has been your biggest takeaway from the last year? You know, whether it be race relations in America or just, you know, how everything has been affected with coronavirus, things like that.
Oh, boy. Last year was tough. My sister, she was, 81, and she had breathing problems. So last April, she passed away. Of 2020, she passed away. We thought maybe it was COVID or something like that, but it had something to do with breathing. So what I saw is that health is very important, but for some reason, you know, blacks didn't want to take the vaccine at first, but I think they're coming around to hey, it's good for you. It's good for your family, you know, your children. I'm trying to convince a stepson of mine that, hey, to get vaccinated. Well, you might get it again, blah, blah, blah. I said, but listen, you got to protect yourself. And the only way you're going to do it is to get vaccinated. I said, no one should know that any more than you. The reason being, your uncle had polio. That boy had polio. And he had to go to Tuskegee in an iron lung. March of Dimes, pay for all this for him, you know. And so he's wired together because he passed away a few years ago, but he lived to be 69, you know. But you see, by not being vaccinated, could do. But they discovered the vaccination the year he got polio.
Do you still feel like you experience, you know, as overt forms of racism? I know obviously you said you dealt with the woman who, you know, said the N-word, you had the segregation with things. I mean, do you still feel like you deal with that much stuff even, you know, in 2021?
Yeah, I don't experience it that much. I know it's there. You know, it's like voting, you know. I know what they say, make America great again. To us, it means make America white again. You know, what blacks face today is now you want to take my voting rights away. You want to limit the voting rights and make an excuse, you know, to it. We know America used to be 90% white. Now it's 59%, and with Trump and others would say, well, we want to do this and that. Well, they want to make it more. They want to keep dominating the United States. and it's changing, you know, and they don't want that change. They don't want to see the country get more brown, you know. They don't want that. They want to keep it the way it used to be, and it's not going to happen that way.